Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Joe Green, Dr. Joe Green, head pastor of St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church located in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Also the founder of the 2019 movement. And I want to share a couple of thoughts with you. Recently there's this video that came out and I just saw it last week by an artist by the name of Lil Nas X. Lil Nas X, and some people call him a hip hop artist, also pop artist, or he does some country and western music. I don't know what you want to call him. He's been described as somewhat of a hip hop artist. So he came up with this video called Montero, Call Me By Your Name. And I just want to tell you, it's one of the most horrifying videos I've ever seen. Very demonic, satanic, just a horrible video. I wouldn't suggest you watch it. I'll give you kind of the, overview of the video just briefly, just for the sake of this conversation. But in any event, this is a horrible video. So in the video, at some point in time, he goes into hell. He's dressed like a male stripper. He slides down a stripper pole. He goes into hell. He does a lap dance for the enemy. He spreads his legs and sits on the lap of what looks like the devil or Satan, Lucifer, whatever you want to call him. Just very satanic, very sexual, sensual. He's tongue kissing. He's a man and he's tongue kissing the devil, tongue kissing another man. And just to let you know a little bit about Lil Nas X, and he's an important person for you to know about. And the reason I say he's important is he came out with a song called Old Town Road a couple of years ago. And it was the number one song in the country for a while. Very popular, and it elevated him to a very popular status. Now, in case you didn't know, the other thing about Lil Nas X is he's really being marketing towards children. When he first came out with his video, Old Town Road, I think he was about 19 years old, and I think he's about 21 or 22 now. But the children loved him. It was a very catchy tune. I heard people say that. I used to hear people singing it all the time. I heard my grandkids and other children that were singing the tune. And then one day my granddaughter was around and her friend was over, and they were probably like 5 or 6 years old, if that old. And they were singing the song. And then the one little girl says, he doesn't like girls. And I said, well, what do you mean? First of all, I thought that was an odd statement. Why would that stick out? Why would she make that statement? So I did a little research, and Lil Nas X had come out as gay. So now he's associated as a hip hop artist, very popular, and African-American male. And he comes out of the closet as gay. And first of all, I want to say it didn't really matter to me. I don't care if he's gay or not. And really, that shouldn't even been part of the conversation. But you have to recognize that it's part of the agenda. As I said, they're marketing him towards children, and it's a way to socially engineer our children, to shape our children's mind. Right? It's more than just music. They shouldn't care about his sexual orientation if they like the song. But of course, they are marketing towards children. One of the things you got to realize about children is children cannot separate art from the person, from the artist. Right? As adults, we usually can. So if you had a famous singer or actor or athlete that you followed and you admired, you could separate the artist from the art, right? So if I listen to a song, I don't necessarily have to be connected to the person singing the song if I am connected to the song. But children don't have that ability. Children can't separate art from the artist. So here's what happens in children's minds. Children see or hear Lil Nas X. They like the song. So they're now connected to the artist, and they begin to identify with the artist. It's like a athlete, right? So if my favorite athlete has a position, that's why the powers that be are using artists. They use musicians. They're using actors. Now, adults have a better opportunity, or they have a stronger ability to separate the art from the artist. But to a certain degree, we do as well, right? We associate with people that we care about and we like, which is why they're using people in the media, musicians, actors, and athletes to promote their agenda. That's why companies like, large corporations give a lot of money to athletes and actors and famous people to endorse their products. They spend millions and millions of dollars to get celebrity endorsements because now again, adults have are better equipped to separate the art from the artist, but children are absolutely not. They cannot separate the art from the artist. That's why there's so much time and effort and money being spent to get celebrities to endorse products or endorse agendas or ideas. And that's what's happening right now. That's why you have LeBron James becoming a political activist to a certain degree, or a community activist. They use all these celebrities to push the Black Lives Matter. Even with these vaccines now, they're employing famous celebrities to promote the idea that you should go out and get a vaccine, because they understand that that it's a lot of times people do not separate the art from the artist. I used to say this all the time, like, just because you're famous, just because you can sing good or run fast or jump high, doesn't make you a genius. I mean, I don't negate the fact that anybody has the right for their own opinion. Everybody has the right to a personal opinion, but it doesn't make it right just because you're a good actor or activist, actor or singer or athlete. And so this is why these things are going to be very important for us to understand. People like Lil Nas X with this new video, Montero, Call Me By Your Name. They are promoting and pushing hedonism and Satanism in popular media. Now, the way that you know that this is true is, I talked a little while ago about the song WAP, which is with Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B. Again, very popular female artists, and they're talking about their female genitalia. Now, the Lil Nas X video, like I said, is very sexually explicit. It shows him doing a strip tease, sitting on the lap of Lucifer. The implication is that they're having sexual intercourse. If you see the video, like I said, he's very provocatively dressed, and it's a very sexual and demonic video. I mentioned about WAP. WAP, which, if you're not familiar with the term, is making a reference to a woman's female anatomy in a derogatory term. I believe that's when I say derogatory, if you are a woman and you want to be identified by the condition of your female genitalia, it's very disrespectful to women. You shouldn't want to be, identified there. I have daughters. I would hate for my daughters to, and I have a granddaughter, I would hate for them to identify themselves with the condition of their female genitalia. And what it does is objectifies women. It degrades and belittles women. But they're trying to promote this idea that it empowers women, but it doesn't. It does the actual opposite. But this is a way of promoting the idea of hedonism. Hedonism is a philosophy that says that your life's goal should be to pursue happiness, pursue personal pleasure. Like, that's the goal of your life, should be to pursue personal pleasure. The music industry and the hip hop industry is doing a great job at hedonism. That's why if you look at the hip hop videos, they all walk around with big stacks of money. They're all talking about their Bentleys and Lamborghinis and all the gold chains that they have and all expensive jewelry. They're promoting the idea of hedonism because the powers that be knows or recognizes this is they've studied the psychology of humanity for a long time. And if you promote the idea of hedonism, it actually destroys individuals and weakens individuals, and it makes them easier to control. If you look at every great empire through history, was destroyed because of hedonism, because of moral decay. The Roman Empire was very wealthy. They were very wealthy. They had all kinds of luxury, and they imploded from the inside out. It means that they eroded from the inside. The moral decline of the culture led to the demise of the Roman Empire. They weren't overthrown by any outside force. It eroded from the inside because of hedonism. The Bible talks about that too. Because they did not honor God, God turns them over to a reprobate mind, it says in the book of Romans, and then they end up destroying themselves. So I want you to understand that this is more than just catchy phrases or songs. This is a strategy meant to destroy and to target our young people. So we talked about Lil Nas X and Montero and how he's come out of the closet. He's promoting the idea. People are really commending him not only for coming out of the closet, but they are. I've even seen some people that were, celebrating his video. They called it art, and it is not art by any stretch of the imagination. I wanted to share this with you. March 26th, article in the Rolling Stone, article by E.J. Dixon. The video for Lil Nas X's new single, Montero, Call Me By Name, has everything alien, sex, snake licking, pastel, Marie Antoinette wigs, Greek references to Plato's Symposium that a grand total of 3 people watching the video will be able to understand. It says, but perhaps its most prominent character is the Prince of Darkness himself, Satan, who Lil Nas X seduces with a lap dance in the video after riding a stripper pole to hell, then steals his horns. Watching the rapper twerk atop a swole zaddy Satan in the video is redolent with symbolism. As Lil Nas X put it in a press release, it was intended as a nod to homophobes who accuse gay people of going to hell, with the dethroning of Satan as a means of dismantling the throne of judgment and punishment that has kept many of us from embracing our true selves out of fear. It also appears as a FU, and they use the actual word, to those on the far right who accuse Lil Nas X of Satanism. But the article says, but mostly, however, it's just badass. They're saying they're commending the video. Now, here's the thing about this, so of course, like I said, he's promoting an agenda. He's promoting Satanism, and people may think it was just art, but they actually ask a person from the Church of Satan. As it turns out, this article says, at least one Satanist loves Montero, Call Me By Your Name. David Harris, who's the magister for the Church of Satan. So a magister in the Church of Satan is the equivalent of a Catholic cardinal. He obviously did his homework, he tells Rolling Stone. Whether he consulted with us directly or did his own research, he clearly put a lot of effort into his video. Harris was also a fan of Old Town Road, in case you were ever wondering how Satanists feel about the Yeehaw agenda. Founded in 1966, Anton LaVey, the Church of Satan does not actually believe in Christian version of Satan or the worship of Satan as a deity. Rather, the Church of Satan is more humanistically centered. And so here, let me interpret that for you. So the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey is the founder. This person, David Harris, who's currently a high-ranking official in the Church of Satan, commended the video. He said this person did their homework, means that they are really espousing values of the Church of Satan. Now, if you don't know this, there's different levels of Satanism / Luciferianism. And so you have a group that knows that Satan is a person, right? He's the devil, the serpent he's described in the Bible. And, he's a type of antichrist because he opposes God and opposes the things of God. And but then there's also another philosophy of Satanism, and the Church of Satan proclaims that this is what they believe. Professes, I should say, that Satan is not an actual person, it's the human will. And so in this Lil Nas X video, and I'm gonna break it down for you because it's important for you to understand what's being promoted and what's being pushed out there. And so they don't believe of Satan as a person. They believe that it represents just the will of man, that man, ultimately is the final authority and he can do and say whatever he wants to do. Now, that is a deception. Because in Genesis 3, we read in the Bible that the serpent convinced Adam and Eve that if you eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and you can be God, you can determine what's right and what's wrong. You can be God yourself. You can be the same as God, right? So this is an age-old deception. So whether they are acknowledging Satan as an actual person, or if they're simply acknowledging that man is the ultimate authority, it's being done in opposition to what we believe to be the God of the Bible, the God of creation. And so this person from the Church of Satan is commending and saying that this is real. The philosophy or the imagery that's being espoused represents what the Church of Satan believes in. So whether or not you want to accept what Lil Nas X is doing or not, it lines up with Luciferianism or Satanism, and it's being promoted, right? And again, when we understand that they're targeting our children because it's very colorful, he has very colorful outfits and glitter and all kind of other really special imagery that really, it speaks to our children. It attracts children more than anything. Excuse me. And so So the other part of that, I want you to understand that it's an agenda. If they were just trying to say, like, whether it was WAP or this Lil Nas X stuff that we're looking at, or some of the other things that's in our culture, if they are just saying that people should have the freedom of expression and they can say or do whatever they feel like they want to do, that would be one thing. I wouldn't agree with that. But we can't really. I mean, at the end of the day, in America, people have freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And so, even though I don't agree with Satanism or promoting homosexuality or all these, or this hedonism, describing women based on the condition of their female genitalia, parading around, and in the video for WAP with like I mentioned before, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, they actually the chorus is, there's some whores in this house. So they're calling women whores. The women are acting very provocatively. They're doing all kind of sexual things and gyrations, and the whole song, the song is describing the female genitalia, right? So people can have the right to do that, even if I oppose it, even if it goes against my morals and my values, even if if it's dreadful, if it's a dreadful thought that they're using this to target their kids, right? Even if I believe all those things, which I do, people have a right to free speech and free expression, right? Now, there should be censorship. They should only market these things to, like the rating system in movies. I think that that's good. They should warn people to say, I don't want my kids looking at these things. I don't want my kids, most of them are adults, but my grandkids or the next generation that's coming behind us. I don't think that they should be exposed to these things, and parents have a right to keep their children, their underage children, from viewing these things. So there should be some kind of rating, which there's not in these music videos. Most children can just go to YouTube or any other platform and view these things, right? But let me take it a step further. Even if I believe all the stuff I just said, that they have a right to freedom of expression and that they may just be expressing themselves, that's not what's happening. And the reason that is because the other side of that is censorship is occurring and cancel culture. So the same people, the same institutions, and the same organizations and the same power structure that is on one hand saying that Lil Nas X and Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion have a right as artists to express themselves and to present themselves and promote whatever agenda they want to because of freedom of expression, are the same ones that are calling for cancellation of things that we have held that were harmless. For instance, let me give you two examples. The first one I want to give you is that this is from March 21st, 2021, a story out of Chicago, a news story out of Chicago. Chicago libraries are temporarily pulling 6 Dr. Seuss books from their shelves after Dr. Seuss Enterprises said it would stop publishing them over racist and insensitive imagery. So they are banning Dr. Seuss in Chicago out of the school districts. Now, some of these same school districts around the country, they have this thing called story time. What they call it? Transgender story hour or whatever. Drag queen story hour, where they let drag queens come in and read to underage children to promote the idea of transgenderism, right? These same type of school districts are now banning Dr. Seuss books for racist and insensitive imagery. That's why I'm trying to get you to understand that it is an agenda. It's not something that's by happenstance. It's not just saying you can express yourself any kind of way. They are banning Dr. Seuss books. And if you know anything about Dr. Seuss, that's absurd. For racist and insensitive imagery. The books are To Think, here's the books, they're called, And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street. Another book is called If I Ran the Zoo. Another book is McElligot's Pool. There's a book entitled On Beyond Zebra, Scrambled Eggs Super, and The Cat's Quizzer. So that's the name of the books that they're banning for racist and insensitive imagery. So they're saying that these Dr. Seuss books are offensive to people and children shouldn't be exposed to them. But by the same time, no one is banning Lil Nas X and Cardi B for their very offensive, sexual, perverse imagery. right? It says these books portray people in ways that are hurtful and wrong. Dr. Seuss Enterprises told the Associated Press in a statement that coincided with the late author and illustrator's birthday last week. So what they're doing under the pressure is the Dr. Seuss Enterprises is saying that, hey, we're sorry for these racist and insensitive imageries. As adored as Dr. Seuss is by millions around the world for the positive values in many of his works, including environmentalism and tolerance, there has to be increasing criticism in recent years over the way Blacks, Asians, and others are drawn in some of the most beloved children's books, as well as in his earlier advertising and propaganda illustrations. Now, again, let me break this down for you. So, part of the agenda of the power structure, the global elite, is not only to promote hedonism, which weakens individuals, but there's a thing called critical theory. And I've talked about this in previous videos. So if you have a chance to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and look at all my previous videos that I did, and I talk about this in detail. But there's another thing that they have with critical theory, which is a divide and conquer theory. If you get a chance to read Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, which the globalist agenda is based on, this philosophy, this ideology, they say in his, Saul Alinsky says in his writings, the first rule to community organization is community disorganization. So what they do is they separate people in groups and have them back and forth. So they really create an idea of victimhood. And so they separate groups of people into groups, or they separate people into groups, and then they begin to promote this idea of victimhood. So they tell women it's the oppressive rulership of man that makes women's lives so miserable. But unfortunately, the alternative is to over-sexualize women in a way that makes them sex objects, which is absurd or ridiculous. They tell Black people the reason that the Black community is in bad shape because of white supremacy. So they pit whites against Blacks. So you always have racism. They tell homosexuals that the reason homosexuals have a high rate of suicide and different things like that, and suicidal thoughts, is because of the heteronormative thinking that tells gay people that homosexuality is wrong, or as Christians say that it's a sin. So they'll target these groups of people and call other people victims, and then they celebrate the victim and the victimhood in a way that molds the thinking of people. So this is all about shaping thought in order to control the masses. So they promote hedonism on one end, and then they promote this whole critical theory, victimhood mentality, and then they parade. So it's not enough. So they're not telling you that a person who's an LGBTQ, it's not enough that you just leave them alone. Now they want to parade it in front of you and promote it as being normal. And if you say that it's not, then you are hateful, you get canceled, and anything like that. And ultimately what these ideals do is they actually double down on a person being incapable of not only logical thought, but of being a real person. And I'll say this as far as a Black person: if Black America have all these issues because people say bad things about them or think bad thoughts about them, or they're portrayed negatively, the whole Black community would have perished a long time ago, because we endured slavery, we endured Jim Crow, we endured all kinds of negative stereotypes, and we were still a strong community. But now when it's veiled in real light, or they talk about dog whistle themes, then all of a sudden now we're incapable of personal self-esteem, that our self-esteem is completely destroyed because of what other people think about us, which is absurd. It's really absurd. And we portray ourselves in more negative light. Just look at our videos and our music and our culture. We portray all the negative stereotypes ourselves. We don't need anybody else to do it for us. The last point I want to make is, and again, here's another case. We talked about Dr. Seuss, and this is why I'm saying it's absurd. This agenda that's being promoted is, this is an article as well. The world's most famous cartoon skunk appears to be the latest victim of cancel culture. Some of you may have heard of this. The Hollywood Reporter reported on Monday that Looney Tunes icon Pepe Le Pew is not featured in any current Warner Brothers TV projects, and there are no current plans for the character's return. THR also reported that Lepew will also not be appearing in the upcoming LeBron James film Space Jam 2, the sequel to the 90s Looney Tunes movie starring Michael Jordan. Lepew appeared alongside the Chicago Bulls legend in the first film. According to the report, that this sounds absurd, and it is. It's ridiculous. At some point in time, people have to stand up and say this stuff is stupid, it's absurd, and but they're playing on they're playing on the fact that we're not smart enough to see through these things, that we can't think logically. So they're coming up with all this ridiculous stuff, and they're getting a pass for, unfortunately. So Pepe Le Pew is being canceled, and it's not by happenstance that he won't be in this new Space Jam 2 movie, or he won't be in any of the upcoming Warner Brothers Looney Tune projects. It says in this article, last week, amid the uproar over the cancellation of 6 Dr. Seuss books for racist imagery, New York Times columnist Charles Blow took aim at Lepew, who he said, now this is stupid. I'm just say this before I read this to you. It's absurd, it's stupid. We got to get smarter than this, and we got to stop allowing people to just tell us crazy stuff and for us to, think it's okay. This is what this person says, that Pepe Le Pew normalized rape culture, as well as fellow Looney Tunes Speedy Gonzalez, whose friends helped popularize the corrosive stereotype of the drunk and lethargic Mexicans. Blow doubled down on his attack towards the beloved skunk on Twitter. This is how stupid this is. RW blogs are mad because I said Le Pew added to rape culture. He says, let's see. Here's the proof that Pepe Le Pew adds to rape culture. It says, let's see. He grabs and kisses a girl, a stranger, repeatedly without consent and against her will. She struggles mightily to get away from him, but he won't release her. He locks the door to prevent her from escaping. Blow wrote on Saturday while sharing a Pepe Le Pew montage. He continued, this helps teach boys that no didn't really mean no, that it was all part of the game, the starting line of a power struggle. It taught overcoming a woman's strenuous, even physical objections was normal, adorable, or funny. They didn't even give the woman the ability to speak. Now, this is really stupid. I just want you to understand that they are sliding us into the abyss of just stupidity, and we can't allow ourselves to go there. And just for the record, let me tell you about Pepe Le Pew. If you have never seen it, what he's referring to is one of the most famous things of Pepe Le Pew. He's a skunk, right? He's black with a white stripe down his back. There's a black cat, a female cat, who walks under a painted fence, and so a stripe is painted on her back. So now she looks like she's a skunk as well. He mistakes her for a skunk, and he likes her. So he goes after her, he grabs her, starts kissing on her or whatever. She pushes and she fights away, right? This is all a cartoon and is many, many years old. So to say it contributes to rape culture is ridiculous. But here's the key to the whole thing is the female cat, who he thinks is a skunk, is not pushing away from him because she doesn't like him. She pushes away from him because he's a skunk and he smells very badly. And to prove that, there's a part in the cartoons where Pepe Le Pew accidentally has some perfume fall on him, and when he smells good, she turns the tables and she grabs him and starts kissing on him. So has nothing to do with the fact that it's an unwanted advance. She's trying to get away from him because he's a skunk and he stinks. But of course, that's irrelevant, because to these really far left fringe type of people that want to promote all this absurdity, facts don't really matter. But we have to wake up. We can't allow this stuff to affect us. And again, how absurd is it that we allow something like Lil Nas X, his demonic, satanic video to be considered art, WAP to be considered something that empowers women, but yet Pepe Le Pew and Dr. Seuss are things that are harmful to our society as a whole. It's absurd. We live in some dark times, but we have to speak truth to power in order for us not to fall victim to all this foolishness that's occurring. This has been Joe Green. Until next time, peace and blessings to you. I love you. And don't be woke, stay woke. Love you guys.